Well, hello, computer nerds everywhere. Welcome to episode 7 of trying to resurrect this old Teletek Systemaster single board Z80 computer. There has been significant progress since the last episode. As you can see, I have the GoTech hooked up. Reflashed the firmware on it. I didn't bother filming that because there's lots of videos out there on YouTube already on how to reflash the firmware on this. In fact, I had to watch a couple of them to figure it out. I've also replaced, and I probably could have done a little better job of it, I've replaced the three 7-segment displays on the front with an OLED panel here, which gives me a much better readout on what's going on, because I really couldn't tell what in the world was going on after I reflashed the firmware and tried this a couple of times. So now with the OLED panel in there, it gives me much more information. I can see exactly what's going on. I got lucky. I found an original, yeah, it says Teletek right there. I don't know if that's showing up. I found an original Teletek 50 to 34 pin converter on eBay. The original seller had no idea what it was. And I'm like, oh, I know what that is. So I went in and got the minimum bid on it right after it went up for sale, and you know, wouldn't you know it, somebody else came along who knew what it was and wanted it too. So we had a little bit of a bidding war between us, but I sniped it at the very last second for, you know, probably I think it was under 20 bucks, so that's not too bad. So I've got the original Teletek 50 to 34 pin connector. Now it did not come with these headers on here for jumpers, which was kind of odd, I thought. So I soldered in my own headers, and I have the jumpers set, I believe, so it should boot. And I think I have them right, because I can see that well, I'll explain what's going on with the GoTech here in a minute, but I believe I have the jumper set right and the jumper back here set right. And of course, I'm using a floppy drive cable from an old IBM PC, because that's pretty much all you can get these days. So it's got the twist in it, which kind of throws things for a loop, because the twist was developed for the IBM PC, and earlier computers didn't use it and aren't compatible with it. But by reconfiguring the jumpers, I think I have accounted for the twist in the cable. So, and I really think it's working, because the Teletek is telling me the computer's trying to read from it. And I will boot this up and I will show you that. Let's see what else happened. Oh, well, okay, I got you know, the GoTech hooked up, got what I thought was the proper boot image on the thumb drive, fired up everything, and I still get no response over the serial line. So it's like, okay, is it a problem here or is it a problem here? So what's the problem? So I started probing around with my voltmeter, and I found that the voltage on the line driver ICs over here, for the RS-232 port, was a little low. And so I was probing around a little more, and I think that my circuit over here for providing the plus and minus 16 volts just wasn't providing enough current. Originally, the circuit looked like that. Just a voltage divider with 32 volts and then plus and minus 16 out. But to increase the amount of current, I just doubled up the resistors over here, so that doubled up the amount of available current. They're all 390 ohm resistors. These are all 1 watt resistors, and I couldn't reduce the value of the resistors much, or they'd be dissipating more than 1 watt. They get kind of warm as it is. So I just paralleled some more 390 ohm resistors next to the ones that were already there, and that doubled the available current to the circuit. The voltage at the line driver chips is now correct. It's not sagging, but I still get nothing. So obviously that wasn't the problem. So then I got to wondering if the receiver chip was bad, because these things are, you know, connected to the outside world. Back in the day when, you know, you had a lot of RS-232 communication between computers, these things were really susceptible to being destroyed by static electricity. So I got to wondering if they were good, so I went and I did some testing on whether or not they were good. And I'll show you a little thing I just recorded about that. So one thing I was concerned about, aside from the voltage getting to the level shifters over here, was whether they were actually any good and whether they were working or not. So I started probing around, and let me put the probe of the oscilloscope on the input on the level shifter, and here we can see RS-232 low level signal, and as I hit return, you can see the signal's going to the input. Now let me put it on the output. And here we've got a TTL high level signal on the output, and as I hit enter a few times, yeah, so we've got a TTL level signal going to the SIO. As far as I can tell though, the SIO has not been initialized, so the program that's supposed to be loading off of the disk is not running, which is why I'm not getting any kind of feedback. So that really leads me to believe that the program isn't loading, either because I don't have the disk format correct on the Gotek, which I think is the most likely thing, or something is hooked up wrong. But I think it's probably the disk format issue, because everything else seems to work. But okay, so the receiver chips are good, but I don't think it's a problem with the line driver, which is why I'm not getting an output. I don't think that the SIO is being set up, so I don't think anything's running. But I'll show you what happens when I boot this up. Turn on the power strip. So we've got disk access light on the Gotek. And I don't know if you can see it, but there's a little RA down here. That means read access. So it is trying to read what is on this thumb drive. And it tries for a good little while before it gives up. And the read access light goes out and the disk access light goes out. So I believe I have, you know, the jumpers on this card back here set right. I think the cable's right. I think the jumper on the Gotek is right. I'm thinking actually that it's the software that's the problem. I don't have the right disk format, and it's a weird disk format. I'm pretty sure it was originally meant to go on an 8-inch disk, and was it single-sided double density, I believe, but the first sector on the disk had to be single density, and that's where the bootloader goes. I don't think I have all that set up properly here, so I don't think it's able to actually boot off of this. So I need to do some more work on that. And anybody out there who has a lot of experience creating, you know, custom disk images, you know, and sees this video, leave me a comment. Maybe point me to a resource, because I've been kind of fumbling around a little bit, and obviously I haven't got it right yet. I need to work on it some more, because I'm pretty sure this is where my problem is now and why it's not booting up, because I think everything else seems to be working. We're just not getting over the hump where the bootloader's loading and loading CPM, bootstrapping CPM onto the machine. Everything else seems to be working. Power, serial, even the disk drive access is working. But we're just not getting over that hump and getting the software loaded and getting anything initialized on the computer. So anyway, but I think I've made some significant progress here. I looked into that board, you know, and I managed to get the BIOS or the firmware reflashed. So we're doing good. We just gotta, you know, get over that last hurdle and get this thing to actually load CPM so I could do something useful with it. Now, there is another option. If I can't get this to work, there is another option. I've been looking around at a lot of Z80 retro computer projects, and there are a couple of them out there. One of them is called the Link computer, and the name of the fellow who did it escapes me right now. But he's done a really good job of documenting it. And its memory map, well, I should say its I/O map, is almost identical to the Systemaster here. And its memory map is very similar too. And his BIOS that he created for that computer is out there on GitHub. I can download that, burn an EEPROM or an EEPROM and put it in here, and I may be able to get this up and running using his BIOS that he created for the Link, just because there's such similarity in the hardware. There are some differences. I'm not 100% sure it's going to work, but I may be able to edit out anything that prevents it from working. But I think the way it boots up in the default mode, I think it ought to work, as long as I don't choose any of the options from the BIOS screen that use any of the hardware differences between the two machines. I think it ought to work. So that is a possibility for the future. Plus, I've been slowly, because I've been really busy for the last couple months, but slowly working on a design for my own Z80 computer. It's going to be built on a breadboard, at least to start with. And what I might do, because I'm working on, you know, simple little programs for it, once I get it up and running, it will be a test bed where I can test my own software that I could replace the Systemaster ROM with, and exercise the hardware and make sure that the hardware is all working that way. I'm slowly learning Z80 assembly language, bare metal programming. It's actually fun. So anyway, one way or another, I'm going to get this thing up and running. I think we're like 99% of the way there. We just got to get over that last hurdle. And I think we'll have a CPM prompt up on the screen here pretty soon. Or I'll have I'll replace the BIOS in here, and we'll have some sort of communication going on between the terminal and the computer anyway. So I will get this running. It's been a very interesting few months working on this. It's been a great challenge. It's been a lot of fun. It's been frustrating, but it's been a lot of fun. And like I said, I think we're getting near the finish line. So anyway, that's the update for now. Thanks for viewing. Hang in there. Sooner or later this will be up and running. And subscribe to see future episodes. They will be coming. Press the little bell icon that YouTube makes you press to be notified when new episodes come out. And thanks again for watching. Have a good day. Bye.